Oh, huh. Well, I actually thought it was gonna let it wait until the 6:15 mark. No. So here we are. Welcome to the All Bear crew, and this is going to be a little bit of a DM breakdown, GM breakdown. I'm not really sure which term you guys like to use or if there's a preference. But I was the DM for Curse of Strahd, and we just finished about 2 weeks ago. I actually tried to do this video on Tuesday, but we hadn't gone live yet, so we still had to do the whole get permission thing or set it up thing. So here we are on Thursday. Um, we are 2 weeks into our new campaign, and it's super fun. I'm having a blast, and it really changes up the weeks for me. Going from DM to player. But I just wanted to drop in and give some thoughts about Curse of Strahd, about how I felt about it, how I enjoyed it, what I might do differently, and hopefully some people drop in and have some questions. But also, I wanted to drop a couple stats for the players because I don't know if they knew that I was keeping track of some things or not. But we went into Curse of Strahd. Um, I was going to run it mostly from the book and kind of just uh, keep the ad libbing to a minimum. That way, I didn't use up a lot of my original ideas for this homebrew I'm trying to come up with, but also so that way I didn't get too distracted and we could really see what Strahd was about. That was my whole idea, was seeing this campaign and what the campaign is. In the beginning, I really tried to stick with like a horror kind of vibe, like menacing vibe, and really stick to the town's kind of like sucking. Uh, in the middle, I kind of made a transition to where I made it more of like a campy horror vibe instead of like that strict horror. I think that kind of saved our group a lot. We're all really new to this, and I mean the real world kind of just beat up already. So we wanted to add a little bit of fun. Well, I wanted to change up how I was doing that. And the characters really like that style, and uh, well, the players and uh, they play it really well. They're falling into the role playing so well. It was actually really intimidating becoming a player because of how good I think these guys do at it. Um, but we started with, like I said, I wanted to run through the book, and with the book, they tell you to use Death House. That was immediately. This whole thing just went, because if anybody's ever done Death House, then you know. But like, man, I was looking through it, and I made some changes to it. I cut a couple things out. I was like, man, and even then, it was really hard. We lost a player. It was our first ever player that we've ever lost. Uh, we almost lost to more, but they ended up making the run out, and it was it was brutal. Losing a player kind of like really set the tone, but it also kind of sucked, especially being like a new DM, and that was early in the game. So it's just kind of hard to learn how to deal with that, but you get used to it. And then just getting into town and learning how much Barovia is just run down and unhelpful, that kind of really weighed on some people. Understandably so too. I probably would have been frustrated as a player. I was frustrated with it as a DM. Even I was like, trying to play up to the book. It's like, okay, and I'm not gonna say I'm a good DM now, but like in the beginning, I know I didn't know enough to even do that, but uh, I learned best by doing. So that was the idea, and I didn't find it to be difficult as a campaign to run. I just found it difficult to use all of the NPCs the way that they have them written in the books. So we ended up, I did end up making a lot more changes than I thought I was going to make, but the party did a really good job of uh, involving themselves with the world and even going out of their way to help as many people as they could. So they kind of built up a nice little alliance. If you go and watch the original rundown, if you go watch the playthrough there, I don't know if I'll spoil who did all the killing, but I did keep track of some things. They helped out the winery, and they helped out at Old Bone Grinder. They saved the lady in the lake. Uh, they went to the Amber Temple. They met the Lich. I mean, like they had a lot of fun. They ran into uh, her Rictavio and Esmeralda. We changed Rictavio because we had ran a few campaigns in the beginning, and we had a character named Horatio who was a circus type owner. So I just made him the the vampire hunter, Van Richten, because I just thought it would be nice to flavor a little bit of our old stuff into it, kind of like ingrain the campaign, And I think it worked. I think it was a lot of fun, like throwing that back. It's actually become a theme too, to where we have been kind of throwing back to some of the old characters people had played, and it makes sense, and it's a lot of fun. Like we really like hearing about things that the characters may have done in a new world. So, um, but we started with a wizard, a fighter, a monk, and a bard. And that, I mean, that had a whole really cool story to it too. Um, I think I would like to see like a player breakdown, but being so many weeks out, I'm not even sure if like that could be a big thing or not. But I mean, I know I would enjoy seeing that, but we're pretty ingrained into this new campaign, so who knows if they would even remember the characters at this point. But as far as the players go, we had Saxon, who was the fighter. He was one of our only player characters who remained dead. He ended up with 5 kills before his demise. And then the same player who played him also played Fuchs. What?
You need more of these?
No. Also played Fuchs. And he got 16. He got 16 kills in the world. Um, he was a pretty interesting character too. Fuchs ended up becoming a cleric. He went from a fighter to a cleric. We didn't have one, and then he picked that one, so that was pretty cool because the item of Ravenloft was a thing that he used really well too. He was real tricky with it. That was a lot of fun to watch and go through. I was really impressed by a lot of the things that the players did. But yeah, so Fuchs ended up the game with 16 kills. There wasn't as much combat as I probably should have added. I helped, well, they avoided a lot. I kind of helped them because seeing as how we're all still so new and they don't know like everything that their characters can do and how the leveling up process goes. If you read it by the book, you could actually reach kind of high levels. So I was pretty lenient with like what we were doing there. That way we could kind of see the higher levels, but we didn't have. I didn't have enough experiences for the higher levels to for us to delve into them to learn them. So that was a big mistake that I made. So I kind of helped the players understand what some of the higher level spells might do. Just like because if their character had it or would have had it, I was pretty lenient with that. Mostly like because like your player or your character doesn't always know what your player knows, right? Like you're gonna learn some things at the table that your character doesn't know. However, I also believe that your character is going to know some things that you don't know as far as like his abilities. If he is this person who lives in this world and knows all of the like we just hit a year um like right before Thanksgiving. So we don't know what a lot of these things can do, their capabilities, or how to get through some scenarios. So I believe that helping in some of those instances are okay because sometimes your character will know some things that your player doesn't, if that makes sense. Um, and then we had the wizard character who made it far into the game. However, uh, there is the part with Irina where it's if you take her to Kresk, some things happen. Uh, I I put that job on an individual, and that was the wizard because she was a little talkative. Uh, uh, she had a little bit of an attitude that Strahd was trying to deal with, and he thought that was a good way to do it. And uh, that player ended up, the wizard ended up with 5 kills through combat. Um, and also, I mean, is the one who made the friendship with Rictavio initially, which ended up getting him on the side of the team. Um, and then, I mean, as much as her and Irina didn't get along, I mean, she did keep her along and, kind of really built up a rapport with that. So, I mean, that was a lot of fun to see. But that character reached their demise and came back as a warlock named Sorn, a drow, because being in Barovia, you can play a drow pretty freely, and so that was a lot of fun to see. Um, and Sorn ended up with 8 victories in combat, and maybe 9. I'm not entirely sure. The last battle, it was a little fuzzy to me as far as some of the things that had happened, but I do know that uh, Soren was pretty vital to the group, and I think Soren may have been my MVP because before Soren came along, we uh, we had a little bit of a discrepancy. I think it was our first one. Um, no, Yeah. There were only a couple. All of them were entirely my fault for not either explaining things or drawing things out properly, or kind of just trying to rush things. Like one of the times that we had a problem was a scenario where I didn't give the players enough of an opportunity to use themselves, and I was also trying to do this new like timing thing. All of it went very poorly. It was awful. But again, it was entirely my fault. It was me trying something new because, like I said, we're all new, so we do have to see what works and how things play out. But I didn't give them enough time. I didn't explain things enough, and also in my head, I only had really two scenarios. It was a whole big thing where either they were going to run or they were just going to get captured because they needed to go to the werewolves, and there's really no way to get them there without kind of railroading it. As far as like the characters that I had that I think anyway, because like you don't just go visit them like that. I mean you could obviously, but like it's hard to justify something like that. But so I just had a scenario where they were going to get captured or run, and it was going to be fun either way. But I fucked up. I should have gave them more time, more opportunity to utilize some of their things, and I should have drawn or worded the area a lot more better. Uh, I should have worded things a lot better, drawn the picture more clearly, with words, described it. There's a word. See, I'm bad with words. That's why I'm only an okay DM and I might not ever be a good one. But I'm going to keep being one as long as people let me because I severely enjoy it. Um, Soren, not only did this person do a lot in combat, they were quite helpful with some of their spells too. They had a cool dimension door idea a few times where they saved some kids. And Soren also put us in a good position to help the winery, which brings us to Calliope, our bard. It was a fairy bard. It was really cool. The fluttering around, the flying, it was a lot of fun to play with. Now, this is where it's going to be fun. Calliope had one victory in combat. But let's not downplay that by any means, because Calliope also got St. Andrew's bones. Like she acquired the bones. She convinced the person to go get them, so they didn't even have to put themselves in any danger or even go look. Uh, she saved Irina on multiple occasions. One time, leaving Irina on a roof, which was rather interesting. But that was a whole lot of fun. Uh, One of the dimension door things got Calliope in a position to steal the stone from the druids, which was mind blowing to say the least. Like I had this whole thing, and they just came in, bloop bloop, bink, wham, see you later. That was awesome. So that was a ton of fun. Like that was a position where they did get to utilize their characters, and I had that scene in mind when I created the next one that really just drove a dagger right into the campaign almost. But we made it through that. Everything worked out well there. Um, and then there was another time, and that was at the end when I didn't describe. or when I was lackluster with my words, to say the least, because we were in the fight with Strahd, and I had seen a scenario where I could get Strahd to possibly have one of them fall into a trap. Uh, I just didn't describe the scenario well enough for us to have an actual visualization. So when I activated the trap, it rightfully caused the player to be a little questioning with that decision, and rightfully so. In all honesty, it was, I should have drawn that scenario out much better as well. I do believe he probably still would have fell for the trap, but with how things played out, he was absolutely right, and I definitely allowed him to be in the position that he wanted to be in. I kind of wish I had drawn that out better to see if he would have fallen for the trap, because that could have added a little bit extra flair. I think that would have been a lot of fun. But all in all, there were only a few tiffs. Like I said, they were all my fault. Um, just not me using my words right, or not even, maybe not even knowing the words, as we seen earlier, where I couldn't even come up with describe. Describe. Uh, in Calliope, also saved the child at the lake. Um, that was really early in the game. That was a situation that I was always going to be lenient with. That was really scary when I read it, and I wasn't sure what to do when we got to it, because I did read through the book. Like, I wasn't neglecting the book. I just didn't understand what that scenario was, because I had read so many other things. And then when we got to, and I didn't know that we were going to get to that point that day. So when I was reading it again, I was like, wait, no, hold on. What? Oh my God. uh, but thankfully they made it through that. That was early. That was fun, because they had just went to Old Bone Grinder, and they were like, "Oh, there's this raven telling us not to come here." So they fixed the sign and left. I was like, "Oh no, oh God, no!" And then they got to the lake, and I was like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" It was so fun though. I had a blast. And then Calliope also found the Sun Sword. Sorn retrieved it, but Calliope found it. Uh, Fuchs, along with his 16 kills, also found the artifact and the tomb of Strahd. Uh, he had a lot of really fun roleplay ideas, a lot of really good character uh, happenings. Like, things kind of just like fell in the right direction for this campaign too. It was a lot of fun. Our dealing with Isaac and how that played out. Because I have in here, one person got the drop, but another person got the kill because of how that happened, and that's a lot of fun too. I'm not sure how many spoilers that I'll drop. I mean, I guess a lot, because this is the breakdown, but um, which also brings us to Ramon, the one who got the kill but not the drop. So I sectioned them in a different category. Um, Ramon got 18 victories in combat. That was our monk, our little dancing machine, the ladies' man. Maybe my favorite character. Sorn was my MVP. Sorn saved the campaign. When Nephili died and Sorn came in, because the player had the option to either play out what was going to happen with Nephili or bring in a new character, and she wanted to bring in a new character, the Drow, and so Soren, our warlock, came in and just saved the campaign. It took a completely different direction. The way they handled the world completely changed. Because that was the first time. Because Saxon, our fighter, died at Death House. So Fuchs came into the world with the party, having not having experienced Death House, but still experiencing everything that the party is in the world. So he understood the world, but when Sorn came in after they had made it from Barovia, which we changed to Barrow, all the way to Kresk, just sucking, just everything sucks. And them, the three characters explaining this to a new character really changed the outlook and the development and how everything went. And that was a lot of fun to see and watch. And then the experience in the world and everything that they did, it was just so much fun. Um, but yeah, so Ramon was just, and monks are really cool, but Ramon may have been maybe one of my favorite characters. Um, Fuchs, I think, had the best scenarios, but I think like overall, and like just the background story with Ramon and stuff. Yeah, are we allowed to have favorites as DMs? I don't favor them when it comes to situations. Like I couldn't even get Ramon in situation because I was trying to get I was trying to come up with scenarios for the monk to use the throwback option, what the you know what I mean, where they throw the deflect missile. Duh. See, words. Why do they always start with D? Why can I not think of words that start with D? So yeah, the deflect missile. I was trying to come up with scenarios for that, which we actually had one really cool one, and that was when Sorn missed with a uh, Eldritch Blast, and I'm not big on the critical one misses. One of our DMs sometimes does, but and like as a DM, I have so many other things that I'm worried about. I don't need to add another. Uh, but for this one, uh, Soren critical missed, and they were like, "Oh no, I hit Ramon," and I was like, "No, but you could throw it at Ramon with your critical miss, and he can use the deflect missile and throw it at the target," which was really cool. And Ramon rolled high enough for it to actually work. So that was like superhero moment. I thought that was really cool. And as a group, they got one kill on a hag, which was really fun too. Um, but yeah, so there was just yeah. So Ramon ended with 18 victories in combat. So the player who played Saxon and Fuchs got 21 total victories in combat. Uh, the player of Ramon ended with 19 if you count Isaac's kill. Uh, the player for Sorn and Nephili ended with 13 total victories, and then our Bard ended with one. They weren't. The Bard wasn't even there for the team kill because she was saving children. But like I said, the Bard came up clutch in the finding of almost everything, the acquiring of all uh, the allies. Um, the Bard was a ton of fun to watch play out, and then the ending story, because the whole time the Bard is just everybody's interesting, everybody trying to let everyone take main stage and get all the, and then to find out how the Bard played it at the end with just writing, because our Bard wasn't like wasn't like a music player or like a poet. She was a writer, so she ended up writing books and stuff. And uh, in the books, she is the main character, and she mixed a couple of the characters she met in the story together, and told everybody else's story the way that she seen it, and it was mind blowing. I as a DM, knowing that she was a charlatan, I never even thought twice about what her angle could have been. Um, so it was just phenomenal. Ramon's backstory of having a wife who died from a sickness and a child who had the same thing. I had the idea to make the sickness just the curse of the Vistani because they're allowed to leave and go back and forth. So I just made the curse that if they don't come back, they get sick and die. And then his child would have been half Vistani, so she got the curse, and all she had to do was come home. And so he either needed to, and then Strahd had deals for all of the people, and Ramon's was come live here, take over Barovia, or well, Barrow, the town, be the burgomaster, and live happily. And your daughter's curse will lift, and you'll all live perfect in harmony. And like that's obviously really enticing. Fuchs, he brought because Fuchs was always worried about making sure his rent was paid and this and that. Like he was like a real homebody. So Strahd had his house brought to him on a waterfall, gave him a dog. Like, hey, just be friends, dude. Like we're cool. This world don't suck that bad, right? And then offered Sorn a place to live freely where the sun can't damper you. You can live on land, you can live below ground. There's plenty of temples and stuff for them to take over. They can have, start bringing in more and more drow and start their own community of a safe way for, you know, safe way. And like, so that's pretty enticing, especially for a runaway. Uh, And then for Calliope, it was access to the library and Argan's Vault and Amber Temple and all these great histories in Barovia that nobody has ever had access to write. And I thought that was pretty enticing. So they had a lot on the table to not hopefully make a run and kill Strahd, but then they also had all the allies except for Mordenkainen. They didn't have the wizard in the mountain, and then they didn't have I don't remember. I think they might have. They didn't go to Argenswold. They didn't go to the dragon. The ghost dragon. I tried to push them there at one point, but that didn't work. Um, but yeah, so I had a ton of fun. I loved it. Um, I hope they did too. I hope they watch it. That way they can learn their stats. Uh, it's kind of funny that our bard only had the one victory. I believe that's right. I watched all the combats a few times just to make sure. Um, but yeah, so I guess that'll probably wrap this up. Yeah, hopefully we can drop in a little bit more. But we are filming our next few session or our next campaign. We're doing, I think it's Wild Beyond the Witchlight, something like that. But our our players are at a carnival, and we just finished session 2 yesterday. I feel like everybody is kind of falling into who their players are a little bit more, myself included. Um, like I said, it's kind of intimidating going from DM to player with some people who I feel are really good at just finding a character, falling into it, and being who that person could be. It's a lot of fun to watch. I just have to remember to play with them and not watch, but I also have to remember that I'm not the DM anymore and not to try and take a center stage because I feel like I might have that problem, like the main character syndrome. So I want to make sure I try and avoid that. But we have a few characters who are kind of like indecisive. So I think I might have been pushed to a frontal role. I don't know. This was a lot of fun. I love Strahd. I hope to do it again. Um, I have a homebrew idea that I've been working on for the land of Mirage. And it's going to be a fairly new world or land because I don't really want to do like the whole world. And then I'm going to have the players, like whatever races they choose, are kind of going to be like the main races of this new land. It's going to be only a few hundred years old. I rolled for a couple things. I've decided on some others, but like the main king, because it's going to be a high king, and then it's going to be like sections, and there's a couple cities. Uh, the high king is going to be a dwarf, so dwarves are going to be the main inhabitants, and then whatever races the players choose are going to be the other extras, and then but also I'm going to take player input. They could be the only one. They could be very new. Um, I'm not sure how I'm going to handle the other lands. I'm hoping maybe some of the other players who want to be DMs could homebrew their own world, but we can just make it like an island that is connected with this one somehow. Or unless they want to do the whole world, which is perfectly acceptable too. We have a lot of creative people. We have a lot of creative ideas, and we're pretty invested. We play every week, so if you're looking for a weekly thing, drop in. Um, we are working on upgrading our video and our audio qualities, and we're just loving it. We're having a great time playing D&D. We have found a nice little group here, and please drop in, say hi, let us know how you feel, how you've been. Uh, Try not to be too much of a stickler on what we're getting right and wrong. We're all learning as we go. Like I said, we just hit our first year. I know in Strahd there were a lot of rulings that I got wrong. Some of them I stuck with because decisions we had made at the beginning. Some I changed. Others I got wrong just in the moment, and went back and checked on for future reference, things like that. Um, so I mean, if you see it and you know it, you can call it out, but know that we understand a lot of the things that we are doing that we've gotten wrong. Some of the things that we choose just to get wrong because it's more fun for us. I feel like as we expand our knowledge on the game and play more, we'll get to where we need to be. So let's not be too hypercritical, but let us know. Welcome to the community, I guess, right? Oh, I almost did my regular call sign out, which is don't forget the smile, because check me out, Fat Eddie, on pretty much everything. Ex pro wrestler or still pro. I don't even know how that works. I was a pro wrestler. My hip is all messed up. Anyway, I'll see y'all later. Thanks for joining or watching or whatever. Peace.